All right, my name is Amber Clark. I am going to talk about foundation and departmental scholarships. We're going to start with foundation scholarships. One of the big questions is, well, where does the money for these scholarships come from? And that would be from donations from private individuals. Sometimes campus clubs will contribute to the foundation scholarships. Foundations within the community, memorials, and local organizations.
And has anyone applied for any of the foundation scholarships? I know, Ashley, you're saying yes. And did you get any?
I've gotten the Golden Lion Award, which is through the Foundation's office, but other than that, just like honors.
Okay.
Honors scholarship.
Okay. So going to their website is probably a good place to go. And, well, she's going to talk already.
We're going to talk about that, yeah. Who selects the recipients of these scholarships? That would be 2 groups on campus performing aid, and then, of course, the scholarship committee. How do you get one of these scholarships? You have to apply by March 1st for the following academic year. Every year you have to renew that application. So if you receive one and hope to renew it, then you have to reapply though the following year. You also have to apply for your FAFSA, and there is the web address if you want to write that down. Otherwise, you can go to the MSSU webpage and search foundation scholarships, and that'll come up for you. How much can you get? Between $50 and $5,500 per academic year. All right. Departmental scholarships. The best place to start with departmental scholarships, like Eddie already said, is to talk to your major department. Even your department, if you're doing a minor, that would be another one to talk to also. But yeah, starting out with your advisor or even the administrative assistant in the office, they've got a wealth of knowledge and would be able to tell you if there are any scholarships available. Just doing a quick search on the MSSU website, these groups, majors and whatnot are the ones that I quickly found that offer departmental scholarships: music, art, accounting, honors, theater, communication, broadcast journalism, athletic, and international studies.
Now, you're a psychology major.
Yes.
I know we talked a little bit before this. Did you have kind of a hard time, spotting, those psychology scholarships when you were looking?
Well, you see, I should have attended this very workshop when I was starting out in my degree. I did not realize that departments could do scholarships, and I didn't know foundation scholarships existed, and here I am graduating now, and I have all this information, and it doesn't help me at this point. So the psychology department, I don't know if any of you are psych majors, they don't offer anything, at least that's not advertised, anything that I'm aware of. Talking to Jeannie, the secretary in the psychology department, wasn't aware of anything. But I know that there are a lot of student athletes in the psychology department, and they get a lot of scholarships through their sports. I know quite a few honors students who also get scholarships through the honors program. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions about honors, or not honors, but scholarships?
And I know if any of you are biology majors, I'm a biology major. In the back of Amber's presentation, the biology department offers a lot of scholarships. So my segment is the outside scholarships, how you can apply for scholarships outside. How many of you did that in high school? Anybody get outside scholarships in high school? There are a lot of them, and a lot of the websites that I'll show you today are kind of the same, but it's a little harder to look for. I've found for outside scholarships for college, but they are out there. So finding money for school, just apply for all the scholarships. That was me in high school, especially, and even now.
And how many would you say that you've applied to? Because I know you've gotten a lot of scholarships through the years. I mean,
like 30.
Around 30 or so?
Yeah, like
more?
a lot. And little ones like really build up. Since I was a sophomore in high school, it's like usually when they start sending them. I don't know. I know I've written like 30 essays. Like 30 things are in my outside scholarships folder. So an outside scholarship is any scholarship that's not awarded by the government, like FAFSA, not awarded by the school, like departments, and could be provided by a private sector company outside in the community, or a philanthropist or a foundation that's outside school. So you need to be aware that you must report these outside scholarships to financial aid, just so you do get the money. I've had to bring in copies of my outside scholarships, turn them into financial aid. A lot of the times the check is sent to your home address, not the school. Some of them will send it to your school, but just to make sure that you've received them in your name. I don't know why that thing's over top of my Anyway, schools have different outside scholarship policies. So ours is just, like turn them in and notify the school of them. Our school is pretty good. When I first started, not the best with stacking scholarships, but now they will stack all the, as long as they're all outside scholarships, you will get all that money. It's just a matter of being careful and weighing it out with what scholarships you can get from the school. So if you have too many outside scholarships, you could lose some aid from the school just because it looks like you don't need it, which any little bit helps. We all know that. So like I said, scholarships could affect your need-based financial support in college. It's so true because when I brought in all my outside scholarships, I didn't receive full honor scholarships. So one of the honor scholarships and the one that I received was like $3,000 for tuition every semester. But I didn't get any my freshman year because I had so much in the foundation scholarship through Golden Lion and then outside awards. So I didn't get my honor scholarship, and then now this semester I'm only getting like about $400, and even this semester I think they bumped it up a little bit because I'm losing my outside scholarships because they're either only 1 year or 2 years, or they drop in amount or GPA. But that's why you need to report that to your school because they set your own individual student budget. So how do you get the online or the outside scholarships? It's usually based on your volunteer work. So if you started volunteering at a young age, that could really help. I know that's what helped me. And if it's never too late, so if you start volunteering now, you'll make a lot of connections through those volunteer networks and just working with great people. And being a volunteer shows a lot about yourself. You're obviously not getting paid to do it, but a lot of rewards will often come from volunteering and working for free. So do it for what area best interests you, and volunteer for something relevant to your career path. It'll really help in so many different ways. So if your parents are factors to get into Project Stay, that's often a lot of things that scholarships look for if you're a first generation college student or if you meet a certain income requirement. And the better your GPA, volunteer service hours, and your ability to write a really good essay is they could definitely increase your chances.
And one thing that I would say is that, let's say, most people probably don't like writing essays that much. Keep in mind, if you're applying for a scholarship, if you need an extra pair of eyes, I'm more than happy to look at anything that you're writing for scholarship-wise. Also, Career Services has a list of jobs as well, like volunteer jobs that you can do. So they're a good resource.
Yeah, all kinds of things can help, definitely on campus. Project Stay and Career Services are some of the best places you could go to get this help. I know that for sure. And you can use your essays for more than one. Usually they're about your life and what you have done and why you deserve this scholarship. So you don't have to write a completely different essay over time. But definitely you should go back and change it to better, cater to the specific scholarship and talk more about why this pertains, why they would want to give you money. But, that's why I have so many, 30 different versions of kind of the same essay saved in my computer. So these are all, I'm sure Eddie will post this, maybe this PowerPoint for you guys. These are a lot of websites I found, like FastWeb, Chegg, Peterson's Do Something, Unigo, KPEX, Education First. There's so many different websites that you just go through and you can, I know KPEX, I think, you can kind of filter it. So you're not looking through scholarships you can't apply for because you don't qualify for them. You can kind of filter and go, oh, I'm a female, I'm this age, and this is my level of education. So you can filter those, and you won't be reading for hours on things that you can't even apply for. It's for high school. But all these other ones, College Board, Scholarship Monkey, Niche, and then this is an article on some of the 10 best scholarship resources. And also Eddie has this big book in the Project Stay office of all kinds of outside scholarships. So.
Yeah, we put those out there in the front of the office, from the outside where our little scholarship board is. So I draw from there. One thing to also think about when she's talking about outside scholarships, she gave you various lists there. Walmart. I mean, a lot of times people work at Walmart part-time while they're going to school. They offer a lot of scholarships for their employees. Now you have to be there for 6 months in order to even qualify for it, but that may be something to be thinking about down the road if you're looking for a job, but also an opportunity where maybe you can get a scholarship through your job. That might be one place. I can tell you, for example, teachers, once you have your degree and let's say you decide to go work on a master's, there are a lot of schools now that are offering reimbursements, for you to go back and get your master's in education. So looking at your employee, seeing what type of scholarships they may offer, especially big corporations. they tend to do that.
Definitely look at like your local scholarships. It can be daunting to apply for like a nationwide big scholarship, a big name, because you're like, oh, I feel like I'm not qualified for that. I feel like there is a person younger than me that's already graduated that has already started their own charitable organization overseas. Like those are hard to contend with, but local, there's a lot of money that goes donated, people unused. So lots of money out there, lots of outside scholarships, and it's worth it to take the time to apply to them. So, Bethany,
I can just tell you from experience that when we talk about the foundation scholarships, there's actually, they extend the deadline a lot of times because not enough students apply for them. I mean, that should tell you something there when they don't even have enough students that are applying for some of those foundation scholarships. So they will extend the date sometimes. So, I mean, you've got to apply. That's the key to all this. I mean, if you don't apply, you know your answer, so.
And people are less likely to apply for scholarships that require more work. So if you actually put in the work, you have a good chance of getting it.
True. Any questions? Sorry, I ran off over here.
Okay, so I'm Bethany Ames. I actually work in the Career Services office, like they said, just to add to that. I know the people I work for and I work with are more than happy to look over anything that could possibly be job related or school related. They're there to help you, and it's completely free as well. So I'm presenting the part on work study and student employment, so working on campus. Work study is a federally funded program designed to help provide jobs for students who have financial needs, so a lot of us would fit those qualifications, and that is through the government. It's basically FAFSA, financial need. With Missouri Southern, it does not guarantee you an on-campus position. No one on Southern's campus is guaranteed an on-campus position, and they are kind of difficult to get, but they do try to help people with financial need because working on campus has a lot of great benefits to it. So that's work study. Student employment is the much bigger and kind of broader term for working on campus because it's not just people that need financial help. So you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week working on campus. I work about 15. That varies sometimes, but that's just how it works out with my schedule. And then I can get extra hours if I need to. But then it's minimum wage, $7.65 an hour. And then to work on campus, you have to be enrolled full-time, have a minimum 2.0 GPA, and you have to have a good academic standing with the school. So to become a student employee, you go to Hire a Lion. All the on-campus positions and a lot of other part-time, full-time jobs, any part-time, full-time job that we know about in the Career Services office gets posted on there if it meets our qualifications. So go on Hire a Lion, make sure your resume is up to date, get a second pair of eyes to look over it, maybe in Career Services, because like I said, we like to help. And then you will submit your resume through Hire a Lion. They usually ask you to put your S number in the message box so they can look you up easier, but you'll always apply through Hire a Lion for on-campus positions. These are some benefits that I found from working on campus. I love my job. I don't know if any of you guys have been in Career Services, but it's a really amazing office, and the women I work with are just phenomenal people. Nicole Brown is our director. She's actually leaving at the end of the semester, but she has just created an incredible program that students benefit from. We put on a lot of events like Dress to Impress, our professional clothing giveaway, career fair, the education career fair, and we have luncheons every month that are just here to help students. So school comes first, always, working on campus. If you have a test you need to study for, a paper you need to do, if you just have an assignment or a presentation, school will always come first, in my experience. If you need to take the day off, you take the day off because schoolwork is more important. I have networked a lot. Networking is huge. You get to meet the people that work with the people you work for. You get to make good impressions with your bosses, and you network in any job you do. So you should constantly be networking if you work. Flexible hours, super important. Like I said, if you have homework that is just needs to be done, like they will work with you. You get great references for the future. I'm almost always done with work by 5 because that's when campus closes pretty much. except for days we have like the career fair, then I work a little later. But honestly, the list goes on and on because this campus is just full of amazing people who work here. Faculty and staff are just incredible, and they honestly just love the students. So being able to work for someone who works on campus, you just get to see that even more. Any questions?
I've got a question. Only because it makes me think, like when I was in college, I tutored for student support services, at the college that I was at. And I used to always think, man, that would be a great job to have, be working in trio. Now, I didn't really think about it at the time too much. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I went on and got other degrees. And then I started teaching. But at least it gave me an idea that, hey, I might want to be in education in some capacity. Have you thought about, working for career services? Could you see yourself potentially doing a job like that one day?
I have been so tempted to stay in an environment like that just because I have been so impacted by the people I work for. And I think it'd be an amazing job to be able to do that, to be someone like my boss. Like, I aspire to be someone like her as a professional because she knows what she's doing and what she wants, and she always gives 150% to everything. So to be able to do something on campus, I mean, I've always loved school, so to be able to work on a school campus I think would be really cool, and I think it'd be very enjoyable and something I've just loved doing. So I've been very tempted to figure out how to stay on a school campus before.
Because I know, that's some of the thoughts that I had when I was working, as a tutor. I thought, man, if I could just do this for a living in some capacity, working for a college, and being able to talk to people that you're working with, ask them, well, how did you get this job? I mean, what were the steps that you took in order to get here? I mean, and that's the good thing about if you work here on campus. You've got resources where you can talk to people and find out, what their career path. Even if you decide you don't want to work at a college, chances are, like professors and other people, they have had private sector jobs at one point. So you could talk to them, use them as resources. But I think you make a great point about, especially the flexible hours and work with you on tests. You're not going to get that all the time in other jobs.
It's so helpful. It's amazing. So I know we have one student worker. She was up really late studying for a test, and she usually goes in at 8 in the morning, and she just called, and she was like, I can't. I'm not getting out of bed right now. And they're like, I completely understand.
I'm kind of curious, has anyone applied for any on-campus jobs so far here?
I work on campus.
Okay, you work on campus. What's your experience so far? Has it been okay?
Yeah. I mean, you still gotta, you are doing a job, you still gotta work, but yeah, if there's, as long as I work in the library, there may be something that needs to be done, but if it's done, I can sit there and study, and sometimes they're different. Downstairs, I can study all day long the whole time.
And it depends on the job for that too, because I have some friends who work on campus where they kind of do more behind the scenes stuff, so they can, like, I have a friend, she watches Netflix as she works, but she's getting her work done. And then I have other friends where they can study in their downtime, and it just depends on the job.
Yeah.
I did that in the tutor lab. I mean, there was just certain times when it wasn't that busy, so I just studied my own stuff until someone came in there, and then I would help them. And
Next
so.
semester's gonna be different. My hours are gonna be different. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get to study for 4 hours right here.
Now, what about some of the steps that you took? Now, obviously, you probably went the higher line, applied, but tell us about the interview process. I mean, what did you have to go through?
I had to go for the interview. I went over to career services and had them help me do a resume, and they helped me show me how to submit it. And everybody says it's really hard to get a job here, but I got 4 different calls.
That's awesome.
I got the job, and then somebody else, hey, what's like that in there? I'm already working. Sorry. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it's just like any other. I had to come in for an interview.
I mean, if you're qualified and you're a good person, you're likely to get a job.
Yeah.
That's
I
kind
think
of
the key is
so-
applying.
Yeah,
You've got to
you
apply.
have to apply and have a good resume,
Yeah.
because that's so important. So that's why
I try to get a friend to come get
Yeah.
a job on campus that's homeschooled too, and because we used to work together on evenings, and I mean, it made a little bit more money, but at that job outside of here, you have to work. There's no, I'm gonna hide in the corner and study. That's not gonna work. But here, if you got downtime, you're not busy, you can study.
I think it's harder if you're like a freshman or not even a freshman yet, because I applied in between Upward Bound and college, and I applied to like things that I thought would pertain more to my degree, like biology, and I never got calls back or emails back or anything. And I applied to like 3 different jobs, so sometimes it just happens. I mean, and the summer is busy, so it's like, it just depends. If you have like 0 experience and if you're a first-time freshman, I think they definitely try. I mean, of course, you want more experienced people, but also the upperclassmen or like just more experienced people. So sometimes it is hard. Sometimes you just have to like be on people and go into the office and be like, did you get my application? Like,
I also wanted to know, you said you had to be a full-time employee on campus,
A
or
full-time
full-time students.
Yeah.
They do make an exception for that for like last semester seniors who only need 2 or 3 classes to graduate,
Okay.
because I'm working, but I'm not full-time this
That's
semester,
awesome.
so
Good to know that.
just,
Oh yeah, that's
So
really
it seems like they're willing to work with you,
Yeah.
you know, on the circumstances.
yeah, because, yeah, it's my last semester, I only needed 7 credit hours to graduate, and so.
You're not gonna take more just
Don't
for
take-
Right,
campus.
exactly, here have some more money.
I wonder if the fact that you went to career services and had them help you do a resume, I wonder if that factor weighed into you getting hired or not.
I don't know if it shows that I went to them, you know.
But
the
you
ones
probably
that-
had a good product when you sent it
Yeah.
into them.
But it also, here's another thing, I am older, I do have, you know, experience to put on my thing, on my resume, it's, you know, so I mean,
And that's really important.
the job, I will say though, the job that I really wanted, I didn't even get a call for, so. But,
I mean, I was very lucky with my job because this is like working in career services was my first job like ever, besides like babysitting here and there. But through Upward Bound, they placed me in the office over the summer, like they did with all the graduated seniors. And they just liked me enough to offer me the position because they had an open spot for a student worker, and I accepted. And I've been there almost 2 years now, so it was just really lucky.
Well, hopefully in a couple of years, we'll be seeing you over there in career service, you know, full time, one day.
Who knows?
So,
Any other questions? Okay.
you like the shark, by the way.
Oh, thank you, yes. I'm Stormy, and I'm here to tell you about the dangers of loan sharks and the mafia today. No, just kidding. I'm actually going to talk about loans, which I feel like are just as dangerous as the mafia sometimes, so I guess. So loans, you know, for some of us, it's literally the only way they can get through college. MSSU offers several different loans, but before you decide, always know the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans, which is super important because if not, that is a lot of trouble that could be a giant burden in the end. So subsidized loans are only available for undergraduate students who demonstrate financial need. The range of loans is based upon the number of hours completed. So if you've completed 0 to 29 hours, that's up to $3,500 for that academic year. And obviously the more 90 plus hours, that's up to $5,500. And unsubsidized loans is basically for graduate and undergraduate students regardless of need. Interest comes due within 60 days of receiving the loan. However, interest may be deferred until the student leaves school. These loans amounts will vary depending upon how much aid the student has already received and whether a student is considered a dependent, independent, or a graduate student.
Now, I can tell you from experience, grad student loans, higher interest than undergrad. So you, as an undergrad, you may have around 3 something close to 4%. Most graduate ones are, you know, 5 point something, close to 6% interest a lot of times. So they're higher.
The independent for undergraduate students, the 29 hours or less is the $9,500, so it does go up, but the interest also kills you slowly inside, because that's more that you have to, you know, fork out over in the end. And the graduate is, obviously you can get higher, but still, that's a lot of money that occurs over. And then MSSU offers several loans. There are Federal Perkin Loans Program, a Federal Direct Plus, and Missouri Family Education Loan, and you can find all of those on the website. I know most of it is just kind of based on need and like certain qualifications, and they're kind of like really out there, but then they're also really general. Kind of, it's really weird. I read it. I don't know how to explain it really. Any questions?
Well, one thing I'd like to mention is that, hey, I'm making student loan payment every month, so I know what it's like. I had this one friend that I've talked about in the past before, who made about every mistake that you can imagine when it comes to student loans. He was telling me, because he's, he took student loans as an undergrad, graduate student. When he was working on his PhD, he was taking out. He eventually ran out of student loans, and he ended up quitting his PhD program. It became ABD, which is all but dissertation. So, and then he quit. And so he doesn't even have a PhD, to walk away with either. And he was telling me, because of all the interest stuff, he's already over $250,000 in student loan debt. Because he took out every possible loan, the max that he could, every semester. Because you get X amount as an undergrad, X amount as a graduate, and then when you're working on your PhD. And then, of course, all the interest, the unsubsidized loans as well. He paid, and here's the thing, he is taking 6 credit hours a semester at a community college, so that way he can still say that he's technically in school, so he can avoid making that monthly payment. He's been going to school now for 16 or 17 years now. Because his wife works at the college, so he gets a big discount there. But she's going to be retiring here soon, so he's going to have to figure out, do I try to make a monthly payment, or am I going to just be paying for college classes out of my own pocket for the rest of my life? Because he pays just in interest around $1,000 a month in interest, because it's so high, And so, and they will tell you, whatever you borrow, if you do the bare minimum payment, and you're anywhere from 4 or 5%, depending on where it's at, what type of loans you got. Bare minimum payment, as long as you possibly can, that duration, to pay it out, you will pay almost double. So if you borrow $50,000 altogether, you're going to pay back closer to $100,000 when it's all said and done, doing the bare minimum payment. And so, that's a big house payment, And so you need to be thinking about that, when you're getting those student loans, because you don't want to end up like my friend having to take 6 hours for eternity. I always tell him it's like purgatory.
He's gonna run out of glasses.
And so he's burned out. He is beyond burned out. He hates doing it, but he feels like he's trapped. And so. But I don't think he really thought that judgment day would become where he's going to start making payments. It didn't seem real at the time. And then, he was going to grad school, so he needed money to live, to support him and his wife at the time. And it just adds up before you know it. And so I would just say be cautious as you possibly can. Only take out the bare minimum you absolutely have to pay your tuition and stuff, because, that interest is accumulating. And you look at him, $1,000 a month just in interest, right now. There's no way he'll ever be able to pay it off. There's just no way, And I say, once you get in that 100,000 range, unless you are making a great salary, it's probably going to be very difficult to do it.
Hit the lottery.
Yeah, that's what he always says. He buys lottery tickets, so that's what he's going for. He's going for the lottery ticket. So I just say be very cautious. It's better to be scared. You want to be scared every time you're taking the loan out, because he wasn't scared when he was doing that. He would just say, hey, this is how much they're giving me, and let me sign on the dotted line so I get my money. But the thing of it is, it just adds up. And he even got TA position in grad school, which paid the majority of his stuff, but he kept getting the loans anyway. You can almost get in a cycle where you just want to take it. And so. Be careful, because one way or another, they're either going to get that money or you're going to be going to school for eternity, and they won't allow you to. You can't file bankruptcy for that. That's the one thing that they had fixed, where you can file bankruptcy for other things, but not student loan debt. And so it's with you no matter what. And if you're looking at getting a mortgage, a house, that does affect credit score and stuff. So.
Don't they have, not that we should all aspire to this, but don't they have something, a forgiveness program? Right now?
Yes, but there's a trick to it, because he's looked into this as well. So here's the trick. They do have a deal where if you work, especially in a job, let's say education or something, or social work, other areas like that, they do have a loan forgiveness. But you have to have you have to make your payment every single month for 10 years. So that's 120 payments you have to make. You can't be late once, and there's a whole bunch of paperwork that goes with it, and so there's a lot of steps in order to get that. So that's why not a lot of people end up getting it in the end. And so, but yeah, you have to make consistent 120 payments, for that duration of that 10 years before they will even consider it. And so that's kind of the catch, because he was looking at that. Hey, I can get it all deferred, but he'd still have to make a payment, and he doesn't want to make a payment. So he's just doing everything he can to avoid it. But I just say, you have to be careful, because he looked into that, but there's a lot of stipulations, things that you have to do, because they're not going to just say, hey, we'll wipe it all off for you, But you also have to factor in who's in office at the time, because you may get a new president, in there, and they may decide to change some of those regulations. And so you never know, depending on who's going to be in political office, on how that's going to work itself out. As under the Obama administration, they have made it a little bit easier in that regard, but there's still a lot of stipulations that go with it. And so it's just reading the fine print. I can tell you an example of my wife, who had a little over $10,000 in student loans when she graduated. We made the bare minimum payment there for a while. It was $74 and something a month. I remember that every month, having to pay that. And then I remember, after she had taught at Shawnee Public School, which is in Oklahoma, for 5 years, they had a program where they gave $5,000 towards her student loans. And so at that point, she was at $4,900 and something, or $800 something, so it paid off the rest, because of that. But I tell you what, I was making that minimum payment, and I was looking at the principal, like it never moved hardly. It'd be like a few dollars, and so you just you kind of felt like you're throwing money away in some regard. And so, but yes, so that some schools, some places do offer that, but they have their own rules and stipulations on how you get that. And so I would just say, look at all your options before you have to go down that road, in my opinion, because it really does. Like I make my monthly payment now. I pay, my monthly payment is like $300 a month. I pay $500 because I'm trying to double up almost, trying to get it paid off, because I don't want to be paying all this interest for eternity. And so I've been making my student loan payment since 2009. As soon as I graduated, I started paying. They give you 6 months, but I was like, no, that's 6 months that they're gonna, I could be paying. So I just started paying, and so yeah, and so I always pay a couple $100 extra a month, because I just want to try to get it down as best as I can. And so, but yes, I'm reminded every month about that student loan payment. I got all my student loans when I was in grad school. I had no debt as an undergrad because I got scholarships, but it was like I didn't get hardly any scholarships in grad school. And I had a great GPA. I graduated with a 3.95 GPA. You'd think I'd get some stuff, but just didn't get that much. So yes, don't get it unless you absolutely have to. That's what I'd say. Be mindful of it. From my experience, and especially my friends.
Exhaust all of your scholarship options before you turn to loans.
Yeah, it's worth the effort of writing an essay for a potential scholarship.
I mean, if you need them, she has them on her computer, like 30 essays.
Yes, just say, hey Ashley, I need some of those great essays.
She's gonna start charging for the copy.
Yeah, create her own business on the side there. So other questions? Anything else? All right, you've got evaluations to fill out, and obviously you have the PowerPoint, so that they'll have all that information there. So just have you fill that out, and that's it.
My mortgage on my cardboard box.